Hello, and welcome to this listening practice test. You will hear a monologue. Now look at the questions. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Not too long ago, a certain podcast about a murder case and the docuseries that followed became the biggest topics in pop culture. Everyone was talking about them. I was late to the craze, honestly, but when I finally dipped my toe in a few months after everyone else, I quickly fell headfirst into the exploding world of true crime. I was hooked. I mean, truly obsessed. I have since written a dissertation, academic articles, and even a book on the subject, and after countless hours spent consuming true crime in all its forms, I am still obsessed. As part of my research, I tried to quantify just one tiny piece of this phenomenon, true crime podcasts. As of a couple of years ago, I had identified nearly 5,000 of them, and that number keeps growing. This fascination isn't new. While many scholars point to a famous 1960s book, In Cold Blood, as the birth of modern true crime media, you can find examples that predate it by decades. Think about the panic and terror inspired by famous killers in the late 1800s, or how a brutal murder in the 1940s sparked a media frenzy and created lasting urban legends. You could even argue that public executions in the Middle Ages, the witch trials, even the Inquisition were early forms of true crime entertainment. Then, as now, people would watch, both fascinated and horrified, as the battles between good and evil, justice and injustice played out before them. It seems there's something built into us that is drawn to crimes and to the horror that surrounds them. I have always enjoyed both true crime and crime fiction, but my real obsession took off when the genre exploded into the mainstream. I'm a multitasker, so podcasts felt like they were made for me. As I went deeper down the rabbit hole, I started paying attention to other true crime stories, and I noticed a new pattern emerging. While many creators were focused purely on entertainment, others were focused on criminal justice reform, on wrongful convictions, on bringing attention to cold cases that had been forgotten for decades. I found this incredibly exciting, so much so that I changed my entire research focus to better understand this specific type of true crime storytelling. But whenever I talked to people about my obsession, especially people who weren't fans of the genre, the same questions would come up. Is this okay? Doesn't this feel wrong? Are they actually laughing about murders? I used to brush off those criticisms. I would point them toward what I thought of as the good stuff, the creators who were solving cases, finding new leads, and drawing attention to injustices. That is the good stuff, but when I forced myself to look at the ugly side of true crime, it was really, really ugly. A few years ago, I started interviewing storytellers, journalists, and advocates who were involved in true crime. I wanted to know how they personally dealt with this conflict. I asked them to define true crime and to talk about its reputation. They would, of course, talk passionately about the good work being done, but other words kept coming up: exploitative, sensational, graphic, and what some call murder porn. And just like that famous quote about traditional pornography, all of them told me that while they couldn't define exactly what bad true crime was, they knew it when they saw it. So today, I am here to offer those of you who, like me, might be a little obsessed, 4 questions to ask yourself about the real-world impact of your true crime habit. I developed these questions by talking to the people who make this content, but also by listening to those who have been personally affected by having their tragedies turned into stories. My hope is that by becoming more mindful consumers, we can direct our attention, our time, and our voices as fans to amplify the potential for good within our true crime obsession. Thank you.
Now you have some time to check your answers.